Right then, ladies and gents, this is the final part for now. For the final part of the main Blu-ray collection video of mine. We're going from the T's to the Z, so we got quite a bit. Not as much as the S's, not as much as the S's. So, yeah, let's get to it. And the first Blu-ray I've got is a very unique one. Tell. This one is the Blu-ray, the short film from the people of Film Riot. I haven't watched Film Riot in like a good little while, but they're a big part of me getting me into actually like independent filmmaking and making my own things. They were the reason how I knew how to make fake blood and all this type of stuff. I learned a lot from them, and Tell is a really cool like short horror film. I'm not sure if you can get this anymore. I think this might be out of print, but yeah, it's got a load of cool behind the scenes things. I really do enjoy this, so yeah, that is Tell. Next, The Terminator and Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Huge fan of both of these films. I remember when I first watched The Terminator, I watched it first before I saw T2, of course. Watched it and I was like, that was amazing. That was an absolutely incredible film. I loved it. And a friend of mine was like, yeah, T2's better though. The sequel's better. I'm like, and in my mind I was like, how could it be better than the first? And you know, it just was. It's one of those sequels that just did everything right, like everything right, and it's compatible with the PlayStation 3. I just realised that. But yeah, The Terminator, I love just how pure 80s this film is. Like, it's like, there's one specific shot where it's just Arnold Schwarzenegger in a club with the lights, the fluorescent lights, with people in the 80s costumes, people dancing, and the 80s music blasts. I'm like, that's the most 80s thing I've ever seen in a film. It's great. And T2 is just one of the greatest sci-fi action films ever. One day I'll probably end up doing a video dedicated to both of those films, so yeah, that'd probably be a good idea, that. Up next is The Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I recently watched this film for the first time not too long ago, and I really like it. I really enjoy it. It's got its moments where it's like, that's a bit cool, that's slightly dated, but considering it was 1974, kind of a low budget horror film in 1974, God, it's iconic. It's a film that you just feel dirty watching it, and that's like a huge compliment I can give this film. I love the artwork on the cover. It's one of those things I might consider watching the rest of the films. I heard the sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, is actually not too bad, but this one, I really like it. It's a film I'll probably watch more in the upcoming years. Up next is This Is the End, and what I find funny is that this is remastered in 4K. Of course it is. This is an absolute blast of a film. I've already talked about it, about the Frat Pack in a few of the videos, how much of like I'm a fan of that group, and you know, this is like the ultimate film. This is like the Avengers for the Frat Pack, and it's a load of fun. I love the premise and the concept, and it's one of these ones where, like, yeah, you can tell it was just such a load of fun making this film. I love the ending. It's a thoroughly entertaining film that like has a lot of quotability to it, and yeah, I can't help but like really like. It's one of these ones when I do rewatch, not very often, but when I do, I have just as much fun as I did when I first watched it. Next up is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I love this film. It's one of my favourite films of this year so far in terms of UK release. Gary and I recently did a review of this, so if you want my more in-depth thoughts on Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri, I don't know why I feel the need to do that. Links down in the description below so you can check my review out for that film. Up next is a box set, and it is the Toy Story Trilogy. The pinnacle of my childhood viewings. not the pinnacle. Toy Story. Used to watch this all the time on VHS. Toy Story 2, I actually prefer more than the first film. This might be my favourite of the trilogy. It's one that resonates with me more emotionally, and I think has just a bit more of a better story to it. And the third is a beautiful end to a trilogy. I know they're doing a fourth film, and I'm intrigued by it. I'm not holding my hopes too high for it, but I think it should be good. It could be. It sounds interesting. It doesn't sound like, you know, and like in the way how the third film like ended, it's like that was such a lovely end to it. It wasn't that. I know they're not going to be doing that because the fourth film is happening, and that's certainly not like the big end to the Toy Story franchise. But you know what? We got the trilogy, and this trilogy, you know, it might be my favourite trilogy ever, because it's one of those films where each film in the trilogy is like fantastic. Like I think on Rotten Tomatoes where like there's no film in this trilogy like below 90% or something like that. Excuse me. Yeah, it's a film that you'll love when you're a child, and then you grow up and then you just appreciate it so much more. So that's the Toy Story trilogy. Next up is Train to Busan, a film that I am very much so looking forward to, like really excited to watch this. I've heard nothing but great things about it. And so yeah, I'll put that down. Really looking forward to that one. Next up is Trance. Oh, I think a very underrated film. A Danny Boyle film that not a lot of people talk about. I remember like when Gary and I first saw this, when we saw it in the cinema, we were both like, wow. We weren't blown away by it. But it was one of those where I was like, wow, that was a head trip. I mean, it says here, Heat says, an Inception flavoured head trip. And I would agree. It's one of these things where, like, if any film came out and it was a bit confused and everyone was like, it's like Inception. I wouldn't say this was like Inception, but it was one of these things where, like, you were just so fascinated with where the film was gonna be going. And, like, yeah, I remember thinking to myself, like, God, where's this film gonna go? And I remember loving like the outcome of it. I need to rewatch this film because I haven't seen it since the cinema. But I love James McAvoy. James McAvoy is like one of my favourite actors. Rosario Dawson was fantastic in this as well. And yeah. And Vincent Cassel, he was really good as well. Overall, Trance, I really like that, and I really do need to rewatch it. Up next is Troll Hunter. I believe this was the very first ever foreign film I saw. And it's a absolute, you know, it's a really, it's been a while since I've seen it, but I remember having like a lot of fun with it. And I remember like, yeah, this was the very first foreign film I saw, and I just kind of watched it. I was like, you know, reading subtitles really isn't that much of an issue. So I'm kind of glad this is the film that kind of introduced me to foreign cinema, because it wasn't too heavy, but it was a good enough way to like introduce me into that unique feeling of foreign films. And from my and the CG in it is, from my memory, it was actually really good for what it is. And I loved, you know, it was dark, but it had some lightheartedness to it. It's a fun found footage monster film, and you know, this Blu-ray, lenticular. Why did I just sing the lenticular? Next up is True Romance, a film that I've yet to see, and I'm really looking forward to watching because of Tarantino's dialogue, because I think Tarantino is a master when it comes to screenwriting. Up next, Under the Skin. This is a film that sits with you for a little while. I think this is the film that, like, really showcases Scarlett Johansson as an amazing actress. Like, she's really good. She's one of these people that, like, when she's in the big budget stuff, she's not that great. But when she's in these smaller things, she's so good. Like, she's really good in this. She's excellent in Don John. She's fantastic in Lost in Translation. But yeah, I think that this is the one that's like showcases how fantastic she is as an actor. I did a review on this film, so if you want to see my more in-depth opinions on Under the Skin, links in the description below for that review. Next up is The Untouchables, one of my favourite mob films. This is a film by Brian De Palma, and out of Scarface and this, I prefer this in terms of De Palma's crime mob type films. This has Robert De Niro as Al Capone, and Sean Connery as Malone. That's the Chicago way. It's such like a... Oh no, I really like this film. Sorry about that cut there. Where was I? Oh yeah, it's such like a fun mob film. I remember watching this for the first time with my mum and my dad, and we all enjoyed it. We all really liked it. Yeah, it's a very rewatchable film with a great score by Ennio Morricone as well, and an absolutely fantastic performance by Sean Connery. Probably his best performance, I would say, that I've seen. That sounds about right. Next is Victoria. This is a Curzon Artificial Eye release of this film. Yeah, wow. If you've seen this film, you know what I mean when I say wow. The film, one city, one night, one take. I love how that's the catchphrase, the catchphrase for the film, and what that insinuates, ladies and gentlemen, that it's the film is all in one take, and I don't mean in the Rope or the Birdman sense of one take, like, oh, it's made to look like it's in one take. No, the film was actually filmed all in one take, and it's not even a short film. It's like it's 2 hours and 16 minutes, and it's one single take. It's extremely riveting, and you would think maybe that might be it's a bit gimmicky, but the film is so good in on itself that you kind of forget that it's all in one take. But the flow of the film is seamless. It's absolute. It flows beautifully, and the acting in it is excellent, considering they had to do it all in one take. Especially the lead actress, who I don't know her name. Yeah, I don't know her name, but I mean the fact that she's in near enough every frame of this film, and it's all in one take, and she had to remember all her lines. Amazing. Absolutely amazing. This Blu-ray includes a director's commentary, which, boy oh boy, is a film that that's a feature I really need to see. Up next is The Visit. I kind of touched upon this film when I talked about Split in the last video. Yeah, I find this film to be really enjoyable. It's a fun, like, mockumentary, because it is. People say it's a found footage film. It's like, nah, it's more of a mockumentary in the sense of, like, it's a scripted documentary, and it's a fun, like, scripted documentary, cabin-y in the woods type of film. It's got the same type of warm, creepy feeling that Misery has, and the humour really does, like, hit the nail on the head, because people go into this film thinking it's going to be a pure comedy, and they might be like, what the fuck was that? It's a horror comedy, guys. You need to remember that. And I think the film hits in all the right places. And yeah, the Daily Mirror, Shannon's best film in years, and they're right. Yeah, and I did a review on this film, so if you want my more in-depth thoughts on The Visit, links in the description below for that review. Next up is The Voices. Ryan Reynolds' best performance, and maybe best film, I think. This is a very fascinating film. That I love, like, how, like it's what does it say? A black comedy mashup between Psycho, Dexter, and Dr. Dolittle. I mean, that's quite accurate. I love the way it's like, not to like spoil anything really, but it's one of these things where it's like, I love like when it's like a little bit of a spoiler for The Voices. It's not huge, but it might affect your thoughts going in the film. But I love the way how, like, when he's off the meds, everything's like lit like a happy comedy, and it's all lovely and wonderful. And then when he takes the meds, the color grading goes back to this the colors drain, and it's like, it almost looks like a very disturbing, like, psychological drama in that sense. And yeah, I love that. And I think Ryan Reynolds really does, like, shine in this film, and he makes this film so good. And also, like, Anna Kendrick and Gemma Arterton. Arterton, is that how you pronounce him? Gemma Arterton and Anna Kendrick is excellent in this film as well. To be fair, Anna Kendrick is really good in most films that she's in, so that's not really much of a surprise. Next film is A Walk Among the Tombstones. That nearly went flying out. I think this film got criticised a lot because people were thinking it's just it's gonna be like, ooh, another Liam Neeson action film. But what it is, actually, it's a crime thriller drama mystery film, and there's no real action in it, despite, like, Liam Neeson's got a gun. It's like, it's not that at all, really. It's because it's one of these films where, like, people may think, oh, a Liam Neeson action film, and it's not that at all. It's, Chris Stuckman described it greatly as, it's a rainy day thriller. Like, it's one of those, like, films where it's not like, you're not going to have your brain on overdrive to watch this film, but it's smarter than just let's run around and shoot people. It's like one of these films like, oh, it's raining outside. I kind of want just something a bit, like, not thought-provoking, but just, like, kind of calm, like, not calm even, but just, like, you know, it's like dollar store novels, I guess you can say. I don't know, I've never read a dollar store novel, but you know what I mean? Like, it's one of those, like, classic type of crime mystery thriller type of things. I really enjoy it. It's a really thoroughly enjoyable film, I think. Next up is Walk the Line, Joaquin Phoenix, Reese Witherspoon, and directed by James Mangold. Yet to see this film, a Joaquin Phoenix film I haven't seen. What? I know. Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching this because I've heard it's really good, and Joaquin Phoenix is, like, incredible in it. The next Blu-ray is The Walking Dead Season 1, this 3-disc special edition, which I love. I used to absolutely love The Walking Dead. There wasn't anything that happened in it that I was like, I hate this. I just kind of like stopped watching it because I got a bit bored with it. But see, the first few seasons, and especially season 2 is incredible. But season 1, I really like season 1 as well. And I love the art to this as well. The first episode, directed by Frank Darabont, is one of the best things from a TV show ever. Yeah, no, honestly, I really like season 1. It's only 6 episodes. People are like, oh, I don't know if I can get it finished. If you want to watch Walking Dead season 1, you can watch season 1 in an afternoon. And yeah, that was like the reason. The Walking Dead was the reason how I got into, like, zombie fiction. I haven't really been into zombie fiction in a good little while now, but I used to be really into it, and Walking Dead is the reason for that. Next up is the complete Wallace and Gromit collection. Their shorts, their short films. This includes A Grand Day Out, The Wrong Trousers, A Close Shave, and A Matter of Loaf and Death. Wallace and Gromit, they're national treasures here in the UK, and I absolutely love each one of these. These are the Wallace and Gromit and Aardman is the reason that I fell in love with stop motion animation, and there's just a warmth when watching a Wallace and Gromit short film, and it's a shame we won't get any more because of the very unfortunate death of Peter Sallis, who voiced Wallace, but they left behind an amazing legacy, and there wasn't a bad one. Grand Day Out, Wrong Trousers, Close Shave, Matter of Loaf and Death, they were all really good, and if you haven't watched them, I actually really do highly recommend watching some Wallace and Gromit shorts, because Curse of the Were-Rabbit's really good as well, but the shorts, I think the short films is where it's at with them. Next up is WALL-E, a Pixar film that I'm not hugely fussed on. I don't mind it. I think I have the same issue that a lot of people do. I like the first, half of the film. It's once they get up to the ship and all that, I'm a bit like, not too fussed. I do need to rewatch it though. But I love the first half of it where it's like a silent film, and it's like that hit like a bit of like a yes, I'm good with that. But it's not like a lot of people say WALL-E's Pixar's masterpiece. Some people think WALL-E's Pixar's masterpiece. I think it's one of my least favourite Pixar films, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad film. Next up is Waltz with Bashir. This is an artificial eye release. I've been interested in watching this film for some time. Fly, buzzing my face. I've been interested in watching this film for a long time now, and I've still yet to watch it. So I'm looking forward to watching it. I don't know anything really about it, except I believe it's an animated documentary, but I don't know anything about the events that it's about. Next up is Warm Bodies. I got this film because I heard it actually wasn't too bad. It was actually a pretty good film. Nothing amazing, but fun and enjoyable. And it's from Jonathan Levine, who directed 50/50, which I adore 50/50. So I thought, well, I'll give that a go at some point. So yeah. Next up is Whip It. Oh, I really like this film. This is a really, really fun film. Directed by Drew Barrymore. I don't know if she's directed any more things. But Ellen Page in it, again, if any of you, most of you probably know, I love Ellen Page as a human and an actor. And I think this might be my favourite, quirky Ellen Page film. I prefer it over Juno, I would say that. I do think she's one of the more interesting actresses working. And, yeah, this film is just really enjoyable. And yeah, I do really enjoy it. I really enjoy this film. It's a load of fun. I like the soundtrack to it as well. All the acting in it is really good. And yeah, it's just a lot of fun. And who would have thought I would have been really invested in rollerblading, but it makes it really investing. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. The next one is Whiplash, this beautiful, beautiful steelbook. Look at that. Wow. Yeah, Whiplash. I think this is one of the greatest films ever made. I don't think that's a hot take. I think that's a very universally accepted thing. But I do think this is an absolutely sensational piece of filmmaking, and a film that is going to go down as a true classic. Yeah, I haven't seen it in a little while. I need to fix that. I love everything about it, and J.K. Simmons, wow, powerhouse performance. I did a review on this film, so if you want my more in-depth thoughts about Whiplash, links in the description below for that review. Spoiler alert, I fucking love it. Adore the film. Next up is The Witch, or as people go, The Witch. Oh, fly, go away. Sorry about that. But yeah, The Witch. Slow but fantastic. I love like the atmosphere. I love the old school dialect. It's really just disturbing in a way, isn't it? Like, it's really like creepy and just it gets under your skin. Does The Witch, a New England folktale? I love that. I don't know why. Like that really like that that tagline, a New England folktale, just really like, I'm like, oh yeah, it's so cool. It's just so cool. I love like the lore behind it. Anya Taylor-Joy, great. She's since got on to be like essentially one of the more well-known scream queens. But yeah, she's really good in this. Everyone's really good. The guy who played the dad, he's excellent in it. The atmosphere in it is just palpable. It's a very visceral experience. I'm not sure if I would say this is for everyone though. Don't go into this film expecting a scare fest. It's more one of these things like, there's a few really disturbing moments, but it's not a film where you're going to be like, terrified throughout. It's going to be one of these where it just sits with you and you're going to be like, ugh, about it. Next up is The Wizard of Oz. I mean, it's just a really classic film, isn't it? Isn't it? Wizard of Oz is just quite a classic, isn't it? I believe this was the very first live action film I ever saw. And what a way to start with live action. It's kind of a bit of a live action cartoon in a way, but it's so wonderful. It's such a wonderful film. It's visually stunning. I mean, the colours that just pop. It's a timeless film. I don't need to say too much else about this film because everyone knows how much of like a juggernaut this film is. The fact this film came out in the 30s and my grandkids will probably end up still be watching this film. That's how like timeless I feel this film's gonna be. It's one of these films that like so many people can resonate and watch. Up next is The Wolf Pack, a documentary which I've yet to see. I've heard very fascinating things about it. It looks interesting. I don't really know anything about it, if I'm being perfectly honest with you. I know bits and pieces, but I don't know really much else, so I'm going to put that down. Next up is The Wolverine. Yeah, I had a blast with this. As any of you know, I'm a sucker for like Japanese culture and samurai stuff, and just that image alone is like me. Immediately I'm like, I'm in for the ride, whatever it is. I had a blast with this film. Bit of a controversial take here. I acknowledge that Logan is probably a better film than The Wolverine. But I personally prefer The Wolverine to Logan because I can watch I could watch The Wolverine more than I could watch Logan, if I'm being perfectly honest. I love the fights. I love just the setting. Again, it's in Japan, so I'm a sucker for that stuff. So yeah, The Wolverine. I think it's a very entertaining X-Men film. Up next is The Wolf of Wall Street Steelbook with a great back as well. I love The Wolf of Wall Street. I've seen this film so many times. It's a 3-hour film that needs to be that long in order to be like, to really truly delve into the character of John Belfort. And Leonardo DiCaprio is just phenomenal. I think he should have won the Oscar for this film, if I'm being perfectly honest. This is the film I think he should have got the Oscar for, but whatever. It's one of these films where, like, it's one of the funniest films I have seen, and I mean, you guys know what I'm on about. The lemons scene, the Quaalude scene with DiCaprio is absolutely hilarious. It's genuinely one of the funniest things I've seen in a film. But it's also a film that's like just an amazing like life story, and yeah, it's a great film that if you've seen it, you know. And it's one of these films I would much rather triple bill The Wolf of Wall Street than watch the Lord of the Rings trilogy back to back, in all honesty. I know I'm watching the same film 3 times, but I get a lot more enjoyment out of it than I do the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I only say that because they're both 3 hours long, really. That's about it, but yeah. Up next, The World's End might be probably my favourite Edgar Wright film. A lot of people will disagree. I don't care. I love it. It's my favourite. It's definitely my favourite of the Cornetto trilogy. Hot Fuzz, is more like quotable, but I don't know. I think I could probably watch this more than Hot Fuzz. I've only watched Hot Fuzz more because Sophie likes Hot Fuzz a lot more, and she sticks Hot Fuzz on a lot. And I'm fine with that because I do like Hot Fuzz, but The World's End is excellent. I love the acting. I think the dynamic with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost in this film is excellent. I love the concept. It's one of these films like Stand By Me that was quite important at the time when I watched this film. Like when I first watched this film, I was like, oh wow, that's like heavy stuff. And yeah, I think it's an absolute blast. I love the reason why I think this is probably my favourite Edgar Wright film is the dramatic edge that it has in it. Like, that's what makes it just that more like that's what makes this film just that more powerful to me, I think. And yeah, I love The World's End. Up next is Wreck-It Ralph. It's fun. It's it's one of these ones where it's like, it's really fun. It's quite formulaic. It definitely follows the formula. And I remember adoring it when I first watched it, but it's kind of lost its touch a bit. I think the novelty of it is like, it's got all these like characters, like, hey, there's Pac-Man, there's Bowser, there's that character, there's that character. It's a load of fun. It's a fun film, but I think it's slightly overhyped. I think the best thing about this Blu-ray, though, it includes the short film Paper Man, which is my favourite short film. I adore Paper Man. Wreck-It Ralph, very entertaining though. It's a very fun one. Next up is WWE NXT Greatest Matches Volume 1. They've already released Volume 1. It's wrestling Blu-ray. We talked about Bowler with the P's, and we're here with the NXT ones. I'm not going to talk too much about it because it's just a load of good NXT matches, really. Yeah, it's good stuff if you're an NXT wrestling fan, and I would recommend it because again, it's a load of fun to watch if you're a wrestling fan. I don't know why I had a... God, this might be more than the yeses, or might be just as much. I don't know. Now this one's interesting. Now the next one is X-Men Days of Future Past, and now I've got 3 copies. I got a steelbook, I got a French steelbook, and I got the Rogue cut. The reason is because my mum ordered this initially for Christmas for me, realised it was a French Blu-ray, didn't know if I would be able to watch that. I could because I got a region free Blu-ray player, but she must have forgot that. So she was like, oh no, got it, and then she bought this instead as well. So I got the English one and the French one. So yeah, that's fair enough. And the road cut, yeah, I'm a sucker. I bought the road cut. I haven't seen it yet. I need to see if it makes that, or like, just out of curiosity. Just out of curiosity to see what it's like. But X-Men Days of Future Past, I love the film. It's my favourite X-Men film. I think it's the best Marvel film. And I mean that in terms of like the best film with Marvel characters in ever. It's fantastic. And in fact, I did a review on X-Men Days of Future Past. So if you want my more in-depth thoughts on Days of Future Past, links in the description below for that. Now, next one is X-Men Apocalypse. Everyone's like, I get flack for this by a friend of mine. You know who you are, Lewis. Saying like, why do you own Apocalypse? Apocalypse was shit. Well, guess what, Lewis? I had a lot of fun with it. I don't know if you're watching this. I'll hear about it in the chat if I do, though. If you do watch this. I liked it. I think that the performances by James McAvoy and Fassbender still make this film worth a watch. And even Oscar Isaac as Apocalypse, I still think makes this film worth a watch. I don't think it's nearly as much of a cluster as any of the MCU films, as much people make it out to be. A lot of people say like, it's such a cluster. I'm like, Age of Ultron was a cluster, but people still forgave that. Even the first Avengers was a cluster. And don't get me started on Infinity War. That is the biggest cluster of them all. But Apocalypse, I remember loving the Apocalypse episode in the X-Men cartoon. So I was hyped when they were going to make it an Apocalypse film. And you know what? I really enjoyed it. I need to rewatch it because I haven't seen it since the cinema. But yeah, I do need to rewatch it so I can kind of confirm my opinions on it. But I did do a review and a spoiler discussion on this film. So if you want to see my more in-depth opinions on Apocalypse, links in the description below for that. And the next one we've got is Zack and Miri Make a Porno. A Kevin Smith film. A one that I do like a lot. Is it a bit generic? Yeah, it's a bit generic. I think even Kevin Smith said that. He was like, you know, as soon as the film starts, you know where the film goes. They're gonna get together. Yeah, I know. But it's one of those ones where it's a fun, raunchy comedy. You know what I mean? It's not one of Kevin Smith's best films, but it's still an entertaining one to watch. And Jay Muse in the film, I mean, he's a load of fun. He's a load of fun. And that was the last physical Blu-ray that I had, but I have another film in my collection that I don't have right now because I'm currently lending it to a family member, and that is Zootropolis. And with Zootropolis, I think that's the best of the new Disney films, including like Wreck-It Ralph, Frozen, Big Hero 6, Tangled. Need to see Moana still. But Zootropolis, I think, is the best of that bunch. It's one of those where I think it's really good in the sense of like it has a lot of really interesting things to say about equality, done all in the fact of all of them being animals. And I love how it's a bit of like a film noir mystery type of thing, which yeah, I really like it. I've sang the praises of Zootropolis before, so yeah. But that's it. That's the Blu-ray collection video. I do have more. I have other Blu-rays that I probably will do separate videos on. Like I have Arrow videos and Arrow Academy Blu-rays that I'll probably do a separate video talking about them. I have the Eureka Masters. I have some Eureka Masters of Cinema which I'll probably talk about. I have some Ghibli films which I'll probably talk about, and I have some Criterion Blu-rays, which I'll probably talk about. And I also have some big special editions which will probably be the next Blu-ray video that I'll end up doing, but that will be after October. But anyway guys, thank you all for watching this. Look forward to Spooktober. The main things that we've got confirmed for you all for Spooktober that we're giving you this October is Sophie and I are going to be doing a Halloween movie binge. We're going to be watching every Halloween film, and we're going to give our thoughts on every Halloween film in that one video. We're going to review the new Halloween film for then as well. And the other confirmed thing, there will definitely be an It Follows review. And the reason for an It Follows review is because of the fact that It Follows has a very Halloween, like 1978 Halloween vibe to it. So I thought that would be cool to talk about, because we haven't talked about It Follows on the channel. So yeah, look forward to Spooktober, and we'll see you then. Thanks for watching this series, and cheers.